Welcome back to this week's technical video. This week, just like last week, we are looking ahead to the spring. I know with the recent cold weather in the UK, it might seem an age away, but if you're in the Northern Hemisphere, it is actually just around the corner. It is, at the time of making this video, December 2022, and the Sheep Veterinary Society in the UK has a somewhat troubling update for us. It turns out there's been some really severe supply issues with strong iodine solution, to the extent that the main plant producing iodine globally in Chile has ceased production. What does this mean in practice? The price has quadrupled since that announcement. And why does this matter? If you weren't aware, strong, by which I mean 10% iodine solution, is a traditional and effective naval treatment for young lambs and calves when they're born indoors. The iodine has a dual purpose. It disinfects the navel area, but it also desiccates it dries out that navel, making it harder for infections to wick up that wet umbilical cord. Otherwise, that navel itself can be badly infected, leading to a condition called navel ill, and it can also provide a very convenient portal for infections to enter the bloodstream and thereafter go on to infect a number of different sites, typically the joints, leading to a condition called joint ill, or the meninges, leading to meningitis. All of these conditions can have a very serious impact on the early life of a calf or lamb, or even kill it. So where does that leave us? The Sheep Veterinary Society put out this great statement from which I'm borrowing heavily. If you want to go and have a look at it yourself, the link is in the video description, alongside a Farmer's Weekly article which details a lot of the same stuff. First of all, there's no point in panicking. This is something we're going to have to get used to. By the sounds of it, this is not a blip in supply. This is here for the long term. So even if you manage to run out, go and find some 10% iodine and then persuade someone to bulk sell it to you at a reasonable price, it is at best a sticking plaster. It's only going to last you a year or two. At some point, all of us are going to have to front foot this. Although we should be clear, yes, the navel is a very important point of infection for lambs. Actually, most joint ill cases originate not from the navel, but from the tonsils and the intestines of lambs born into heavily contaminated environments. Joint ill can even originate from ear tag sites. Second, there are other navel treatments. Unfortunately, because iodine has been such a stalwart, it's been so successful over the decades, the data on the various alternatives is lacking. But in the absence of any more strong iodine, really, we're going to have to trial these things going forward. These are those alternatives listed by the Sheep Veterinary Society statement, although it's important to point out that these aren't recommended because of the lack of data, they're simply listed. Crucially, for whatever product you use, you should read the data sheet very carefully, and ideally before you buy it, you should go and talk to your vet about what their professional opinion is on the various alternatives available. Remember, there will always be snake oil salesmen ready to jump on an opportunity, and what an opportunity this could be for them. Ignore any flash marketing, get a second opinion from someone you trust. Third, what we absolutely should not do is switch over to antibiotic sprays as an alternative naval treatment. Now, this is quite unlike me. If you've seen many of my videos before, normally I'm very quick to caveat or condition a lot of what I'm saying, because each farm is so different. I know it probably drives a lot of you nuts because you want specifics, but so often for your specific circumstance, your vet is the best person to give them to you. I just try and outline the principles. But this is an exception because I think this is a principle. Blanket prophylactic antibiotic use just isn't the go anymore. It's not appropriate. It probably was veterinary advice not that long ago. But we've moved on. This will only lead to resistance, loss of farm assurance status, and so on. Sheep farmers in the UK have made tremendous progress in the last 5 or 10 years to reduce their use of antibiotics at lambing time. We cannot let that progress evaporate. Quite apart from anything else, they really aren't suited to the job because they do not dry the navel effectively. I can't say 100% that there won't be one situation for one flock somewhere in the world which warrants this treatment. But for routine navel treatment, if you're expecting your vet just to sell you a box, be prepared to be disappointed. And actually, it provides quite a nice segue into the final point. There are other more important things we can control to reduce the likelihood of lambs and calves succumbing to those early life infections. To echo the last technical, disease is a balance of protection and challenge. Naval treatments are a facet of protection, but far more important is colostrum. The 3 Qs: quantity, quality, quickly. And this in turn is largely determined by nutrition. Money invested now into formulating a good ration, into doing metabolic profiling, into forage analysis, you will see a good return on investment from that. That's because getting it right means the vast majority of your cows and ewes will have a good supply of good quality colostrum, making those lambs and calves far more resilient against joint ill, navel ill, watery mouth and scours. And the good news is we are getting this news not in March but in December. That means for most people, if there is a shortcoming in nutrition, we can address it in good time. Talk to your vet about this now. And then coming back to challenge, it's pretty straightforward. It's about keeping a clean and dry lambing and calving environment. It is not rocket science. Ample, clean, dry straw, using a disinfectant powder of some description between uses of pens, hydrated lime for example, perhaps the use in high-risk areas of specific antiseptic bedding like pine shavings. Perhaps for some farms the economics of all of this will necessitate a big systems rethink, and for some that's not going to be a bad thing. For others, don't let this be a knee-jerk reaction. I know I'm probably preaching to the converted here, but the absolute best strategy you have at this point is talking to your vet. Don't wait for that annual health plan visit. Ring them, send them a text, send them an email, turn up on their doorstep. This is what we are here to talk about. On that note, if you made it this far, you might as well click subscribe, ring the little bell next to it, give the video a thumbs up, and if you're feeling very festively generous, leave me a comment with some feedback. See you next week for the last technical of 2022.